So with regulators hanging over crypto like a 1,000-pound piano on a rope, can the industry actually recover? For reactions, bring in crypto guru, tech investor, podcast host, Anthony Pompliano, founder of Pomp Investments, the home of the Pomp podcast. And I'm just going to call you like everybody else, Anthony Pomp. I hope you don't mind. What's your take on Coinbase's scrap with the SEC? I mean, at some point, this fight has got to end.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. I don't know if this is necessarily one single company, right? I think that there's important to find common ground in these conversations to start. I think that both companies and regulators, they want to push out bad behavior of industry. If there's fraud, they want to get rid of that. If there's people doing nefarious things, they want to get rid of that. Not only do they want to get rid of the bad behavior, but they want to encourage good behavior. They want free and fair markets. They want to have innovations built. They want to create jobs. They want to create all sorts of financial innovation, et cetera, here in the United States. What I think with the disagreement is, how do we do that? So we have agreement. It's just the disagreement on how we get there is really important. And one of the pieces that is always missing in these conversations is that ultimately, I think that we want competition in the United States. The United States was built on competition. And in order to keep that competition, we have to remember that we want the competitors in the arena to actually be deciding who is the winners and who are the losers. We don't want regulators. We don't want courts. We don't want lawyers. We want people who are building products to go out into the free market and compete and let the market decide who the winners are. And I think that's where you're getting frustration, frankly, on both sides of this debate, is they feel like there is not that free market competition going on. So if we can get back to that, I think that a lot of people will be happy.
Well, we're showing our viewers, I don't know if you can see the show, Anthony. I know you're like on the show, so it's hard to see the show when you're actually doing the show. We're up 74% on Bitcoin this year. You talked about winners. We also have a chart of Bitcoin versus the dollar. The US dollar has been weakening. Bitcoin's been strengthening. How much of this do you think is related to our top story, which is, of course, the banking crisis? Is Bitcoin a beneficiary of, the Silicon Valley and First Republic woes?
There's a phrase in the Bitcoin community that says Bitcoin solves this. And I think that there's a number of different reasons why people are attracted to Bitcoin. If you look at the undisciplined monetary and fiscal policy in the United States, Bitcoin fixes that as a programmatic monetary policy. If you look at the concerns around the debt limit and potential default of the United States, investors are seeking an alternative. Bitcoin fixes that, being in a separate alternative financial system. If you even look at the banking crisis, Bitcoin fixes that because it gives you the ability to be your own bank, hold your private keys, not your coins. And so I don't think that Bitcoin necessarily solves every problem in the world. I frankly think that there's fair critiques of the Bitcoin world where people get ahead of themselves a lot. But I do think that there's a number of concerns in the legacy financial world right now that Bitcoin specifically was built to solve. And so when you see an asset up 74%, the best performing asset in Q1, and you look over the 3-year performance, we're not talking about an asset that is flat or down where many assets are. Bitcoin is up over 350% since the start of this pandemic era. And so just as people in 2020 were saying printing trillions of dollars, emergency cuts to zero and interest rates was going to lead to inflation, and Bitcoin would be the fastest horse in that inflation race, that turned out to be true. And so I think that at some point, we're 15 years into this, at some point, investors have to say, regardless of whether you are a bull or a bear, the market is the referee. And the market has determined that Bitcoin is highly valuable. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
It's like the other saying should be, Anthony, what if FTX failed and the Bitcoin community didn't seem to care? Because it certainly does not. Anthony Pompliano, appreciate your views. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.